Have you ever stopped to think that perhaps some simple habits are undermining your faith without you realizing it? Today, we will delve into a crucial topic that many overlook: 14 simple habits that undermine your faith and few know. Often these habits seem harmless or even normal, but they might be weakening your connection to the divine in ways you can't imagine. From negative words to an unbalanced social circle, to an excessive focus on materialism, these behaviors might be preventing you from experiencing a full and powerful faith. And here's something that might surprise you. Changing these patterns can not only strengthen your faith, but completely transform your spiritual life. If you're ready to find out what these habits are and how to reverse them, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications so you don't miss any of our content that will illuminate your spiritual path. And I challenge you to stay until the end of this video, because the tips I'm going to share will really challenge some of your current beliefs and practices. Shall we start? Cultivating envy. How many times, when observing the achievements of others, do we feel bitterness in our hearts instead of joy for the victories of others? This feeling is envy, so often mentioned in biblical stories as a poison for the soul. James 3:14-16 warns us about the dangers of harboring such an emotion, which not only obscures the blessings received from God, but also erodes our own spirits. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Imagine a garden where, instead of watering your own plants, you spend time lamenting the beauty of your neighbor's flowers. This scenario symbolizes what happens when we let envy dominate. We neglect our own gifts and opportunities. To combat this habit, a useful practice might be to keep a gratitude journal, noting daily the blessings received and personal progress. Proverbs 14:30 teaches us that a heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. Yet envy doesn't only harm those who feel it. It has the potential to disintegrate communities. When people focus on comparisons, they lose the essence of fellowship and mutual support, fundamental aspects in congregations and Bible study groups. To restore harmony, it might be valuable to organize community events that celebrate the talents and achievements of each member, reinforcing the idea that everyone has a unique and essential role. Last but not least, it is crucial to remember that Jesus taught us to love our neighbor as ourselves, as highlighted in Mark 12:31. Love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. This love implies genuinely wishing the well-being of others without reservations or comparisons. Practices of meditation and prayer focused on purifying the heart can help realign our feelings with the teachings of Jesus, allowing each one to grow and flourish in the light of divine love, without shadows of envy or resentment. So, what do you think? Have you ever felt envy in a way that impacted your spiritual life? Share your experience in the comments. Judging others. In our daily lives, it's very common to find ourselves evaluating other people's actions, right? But this judgment can be a reflection of spiritual arrogance and a lack of compassion, as warned by Matthew 7:1. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. This biblical advice reminds us that by judging others, we expose ourselves to the same judgment, creating a cycle that can be not only destructive, but also deeply alienating. By assuming the worst about others' motivations, without knowing their full story, we risk acting unjustly and without mercy. Imagine how our faith communities could transform if, instead of judging, we sought to understand and support each other. For instance, rather than criticizing someone who seems disinterested during services, we could approach and offer a listening ear, perhaps uncovering personal issues that need attention and prayer. This tendency to judge not only discourages existing church members, but also creates a less welcoming atmosphere for newcomers or those who already feel marginalized. How can we better reflect the practice of Jesus, who welcomed the outcast and preached unconditional love? A self-assessment of our stance towards the community can reveal much about our true adherence to his teachings. To encourage a change in behavior, consider creating support groups where everyone can share their experiences without fear of judgment. Activities that promote empathy and mutual understanding not only strengthen community bonds, but align with Christian principles of compassion and love for one's neighbor, as shown by Jesus. How do you think we could improve our understanding and reduce judgment in our community? Leave your opinion in the comments. Excessive worry. Have you ever found yourself losing sleep, worried about what the future holds? This form of anxiety is quite common, but it's crucial to remember Matthew 6:34, which advises us, "Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." This verse encourages us to place our trust in God's providence, instead of being consumed by anxiety over future uncertainties. Imagine how much more peaceful your life would be if you could detach from these chains of worry that often bind you. For example, starting your day with a 5-minute meditation focused on gratitude can significantly change your perspective, helping you concentrate on current blessings rather than potential future hardships. Establishing this daily habit can be a transformative step in your routine. Beyond negatively impacting our emotional well-being, excessive worry can obscure our ability to perceive and follow the plans God has for us. When our minds are turbulent, it becomes difficult to hear God's quiet voice. Incorporating the reading of Bible verses that reinforce divine security and care, like Psalm 23:4, can be an effective method to readjust our focus and strengthen our faith walk. By lightening the burden of anxiety, we open our hearts and minds to more fully experience daily blessings. Participating in support groups within the faith community, where we can share and ease our concerns in a trusting and supportive environment, not only helps us reduce our own anxieties, but also strengthens community ties, creating a resilient support network. And you, how have you been dealing with daily concerns? Do you have any tips or practices you would like to share with the community? Leave your comment below. Not seeking God's guidance in decisions. How often do we make hasty decisions without pausing to seek divine guidance? Proverbs 3:6 clearly instructs us, "In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight." Ignoring this advice can lead us to choices that are not aligned with God's plans and purposes for our lives, resulting in consequences we could avoid. Think about the times when you faced significant crossroads, perhaps a career decision or even an important personal choice. How different would it be if each step was taken after contemplative prayer or consulting the scriptures? To incorporate this practice, one might start a daily ritual of meditating on verses that reinforce God's wisdom and guidance as a way to prepare for making decisions throughout the day. By neglecting to seek God's guidance, we risk not only missing out on clear direction in our lives, but also the peace that comes with knowing we are following the path He has destined for us. A helpful approach might be to form a specific prayer group for important decisions, where community members can gather and seek God's will together, providing support and confirmation through collective prayer. Ultimately, by committing to seek God in all our decisions, we cultivate a deeper and more trusting relationship with Him. This not only enriches our spiritual journey, but also guides us to a life more aligned with His designs and purposes. Thus, each choice becomes an opportunity to witness His faithfulness and love in action. How do you incorporate seeking God's guidance in your daily decisions? Share your experiences and methods in the comments. Resistance to change. Resisting change is a natural human tendency, but often in the Bible, we find a call to embrace the new things God is doing in our lives. Isaiah 43:19 tells us, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" This verse inspires us to open our eyes to the transformations God wishes to work in us and through us, encouraging us not to fear the unknown but to see it as an opportunity for spiritual growth. Imagine how your life would be if you welcomed changes with faith instead of resisting. For example, moving to a new community or starting a new ministry can be intimidating, but these steps can open doors to new blessings and learnings. Practices like attending spiritual retreats or personal development workshops can help reinforce this openness to change, offering new perspectives and strengthening your trust in God. Moreover, resistance to change can limit our ability to serve others effectively and worship God in ways that reflect His ongoing love and mercy. By challenging yourself to accept changes, even small ones, such as changing your prayer routine or adopting new forms of evangelism, you might discover unexplored paths that lead to a deeper and more rewarding engagement with your faith. Therefore, by opening ourselves to the changes God places in our path, we learn to trust Him more and adapt in ways that may seem challenging at first. Bible study groups or spiritual counseling sessions can be valuable resources for exploring and accepting these changes, allowing each experience to transform us and prepare us for the wonders God has in store for us. How have you responded to changes in your life? Have you found resistance, or have you sought to see the opportunities they bring? Share your stories in the comments. Lack of spiritual discipline. Spiritual discipline is the foundation upon which robust faith is built. Without it, our spiritual life can become superficial and our connection with God fragile. Paul discusses in 1 Corinthians 9:27 the importance of keeping the body and impulses under control. But I discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified. Imagine how your faith journey would look if you adopted regular practices of fasting, prayer, and Bible study. These disciplines are not mere routines. They are tools that strengthen us and prepare us to face life's adversities with grace and resilience. For example, dedicating specific time for Bible reading at the start of the day can completely transform how you face your daily challenges. However, the absence of these practices can lead to a disconnection from God and the faith community. Without regular spiritual discipline, we may find ourselves adrift, vulnerable to temptations and challenges that come our way. Establishing an accountability group where you and your friends encourage and check on each other's spiritual practices can be extremely beneficial. Moreover, spiritual discipline not only helps us grow in our faith, but also to witness the transformative power of God in our lives. When others see positive changes in us, we can evangelize more effectively, demonstrating the reality of God's love and mercy through our actions and words. How do you incorporate spiritual discipline into your life? Are there specific practices you have found to be particularly effective? Share your experiences and insights in the comments. Speaking negatively. Words have immense power, not just over those who hear them, but also over those who speak them. Ephesians 4:29 advises us clearly, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." This teaching underscores the importance of carefully choosing our words, using them to build up rather than tear down. Imagine how conversations in your community would change if everyone adopted this practice. For example, instead of criticizing, if everyone sought to point out solutions or offer encouragement. Starting meetings with moments of positive affirmation can be a simple and effective way to cultivate this habit, transforming the environment into one of support and mutual growth. The impact of speaking negatively goes beyond the immediate. It can create a heavy atmosphere, full of discouragement and conflict. To counter this tendency, it might be helpful to maintain a gratitude journal, where you note something you are grateful for each day, or a moment when you used your words to help or inspire someone. This exercise can help keep the mind focused on the positive. Ultimately, by striving to eliminate negativity from our speech, we not only improve our own spiritual and emotional well-being, but also positively influence those around us. Bible study groups or small prayer groups can serve as great settings to practice and reflect on the impact of our words, ensuring they always reflect the love and compassion God wants us to share. How do you strive to keep your words positive and uplifting? Do you have any techniques or practices you would like to share? Leave your comment below. Skepticism. Regarding God's promises, doubting God's promises can be a significant barrier in the faith life of many believers. In Numbers 23:19, we find a powerful reminder. God is not human, that he should lie, not a human being, that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? This verse calls us to trust in God's fidelity and constancy, reinforcing that his promises are unshakable and always true. Reflect on times when uncertainty about the fulfillment of divine promises caused you anxiety or hesitation. How would your spiritual journey change if you fully embraced the certainty of God's promises? Implementing a daily practice of declaring God's promises, for example, can help strengthen your faith and dispel skepticism. Skepticism often arises from past experiences where expectations were not met, but it's important to remember that our understanding of God's timings and methods can be limited. Communicating and sharing with other believers about how God has been faithful in various circumstances can be a valuable way of rebuilding trust and reaffirming the truth of divine promises. By overcoming skepticism, we allow our faith to grow and our relationship with God to deepen. Bible study groups and prayer meetings are excellent venues to explore and discuss God's promises, strengthening our collective confidence in his plan and word. Thus, we are encouraged to live with the assurance that what God promises, he fulfills. Have you faced challenges in believing God's promises? How have you overcome those moments of doubt? Share your experiences in the comments. Associating exclusively with non-believers. Maintaining relationships predominantly with non-believers can pose a unique challenge for Christians. Hebrews 10:25 exhorts us not to give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but to encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. This verse highlights the importance of mutual encouragement in faith, which can be scarce when we are mostly surrounded by those who do not share our beliefs. Imagine how your faith could be nourished and strengthened if you engaged more with your faith community, participating in study groups, worship services, and other community activities. Such interactions not only reinforce our own faith, but also provide opportunities to be a light to others, demonstrating God's love and compassion through our actions and words. However, this does not mean that we should isolate ourselves from the rest of the world. Jesus himself was an example of someone who mingled with sinners and non-believers, showing them compassion and grace. Balance is key. While we cultivate deep relationships with other believers, we can also be witnesses of Christ in the broader world, sharing our faith in a respectful and loving way. Creating a healthy balance between interactions with believers and non-believers can be challenging, but is essential for a dynamic and engaged faith life. Regularly participating in church events and activities can help maintain this balance, allowing us to live out our faith fully and integrally, positively influencing those around us, regardless of their beliefs. How do you balance your relationships with believers and non-believers? What strategies do you use to keep your faith vibrant while interacting with the world? Share your ideas and experiences in the comments. Excessive focus on materialism. In a world increasingly geared towards consumption and accumulation, materialism can easily infiltrate our lives, often without us even realizing it. Matthew 6:24 provides a clear warning. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. This verse highlights the impossibility of dividing our devotion between earthly riches and serving God. Consider how an excessive focus on earning more and owning more can divert your attention from the true riches that God offers. For example, how much time and energy do you dedicate to increasing your wealth compared to the time spent on community service or in prayer? Rebalancing these priorities can not only align your life with divine values, but also bring a deeper sense of peace and purpose. Materialism not only competes with our attention to God, but can also lead to a cycle of anxiety and dissatisfaction, constantly seeking the next item or achievement. Creating moments of reflection on gratitude for what we already have can be a powerful antidote to this insatiable thirst. Bible study groups or retreats focused on living a simple, Christ-centered life can offer insights and support for this journey. Moreover, by detaching from materialism, we make room for God to use us in ways we might never have imagined. Generosity and hospitality, for example, become more accessible when we are not so tied to our possessions. This allows us to serve others more freely and in alignment with the teachings of Jesus. How do you strive to maintain a balance between caring for material needs and focusing on spiritual values? Share your strategies and thoughts in the comments. Lack of gratitude. In a consumer-driven world, it's easy to lose sight of gratitude. Continually focusing on what we do not have can cloud our ability to appreciate what we do possess. Similar to the challenges posed by materialism, a lack of gratitude can shift our focus away from the abundant blessings we receive daily and fixate it on the fleeting satisfaction of material gains. Cultivating a practice of gratitude can reorient our perspective, emphasizing spiritual over material wealth. Implementing daily gratitude practices, such as keeping a gratitude journal or sharing Thanksgivings in family or community gatherings, can help ground us in a mindset of appreciation and contentment. This shift in focus can dramatically alter our interactions with the world, enhancing our spiritual well-being and strengthening our connections with others. As we nurture a grateful heart, we open ourselves up to experiencing life's joys and challenges with a renewed sense of grace and peace. This not only enriches our personal spiritual journey, but also inspires those around us by exemplifying a life content with God's provisions. How do you foster gratitude in your daily life? What practices have you found helpful in nurturing a thankful heart? Please share your insights and experiences in the comments. Not practicing forgiveness. Forgiving others can be one of the most challenging tasks we face, yet it is an essential practice that reflects the divine character. Colossians 3:13 instructs us clearly, "Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you." This verse not only encourages us to forgive, but also reminds us that forgiveness is a central part of what it means to follow Christ. Think about the times someone has hurt you and how reluctance to forgive may have affected your inner peace and relationships. Holding on to grudges can be like carrying an unnecessary burden that prevents us from moving forward. Practicing forgiveness can be a liberating act, not just for the recipient, but especially for the forgiver. A useful exercise might be writing a forgiveness letter. You don't have to send it. Expressing your feelings and the decision to let go of the hurt. Furthermore, not forgiving can create barriers within the faith community, hindering both personal and collective spiritual growth. Establishing reconciliation groups within the church, where people can openly discuss their grievances and work together to overcome them, can be a powerful way to heal broken relationships and strengthen community bonds. By regularly practicing forgiveness, we open our hearts to receive and share the unconditional love that God has for us. This act not only improves our interpersonal relationships, but also aligns us more closely with the teachings of Jesus, promoting an environment of peace and reconciliation that is vital for any community. How do you practice forgiveness in your daily life? Do you have a story of how forgiveness restored an important relationship? Share your experiences in the comments. Pessimism and lack of hope. Pessimism and hopelessness can subtly seep into our hearts, especially during times of challenge or despair. However, Romans 15:13 offers us a powerful exhortation. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. This verse not only calls us to trust in God, but also to be vessels of his hope and joy to the world. Consider how pessimism can cloud our view of God's promises and prevent us from recognizing the many blessings he continues to pour into our lives. Adopting a daily practice of listing things we are thankful for can help combat these negative feelings, realigning our perspective with the truth that we are cared for and sustained by God. Moreover, a lack of hope can make us inactive, preventing us from taking initiatives or pursuing the purposes God has for our lives. Participating in prayer groups or Bible study, where God's promises are discussed and testimonies of faith are shared, can reignite this hope, showing us that we are not alone in our struggles. By strengthening our hope, we not only find personal renewal, but also become beacons of positivity and resilience for those around us. This hopeful spirit is contagious and can inspire an entire community to look towards the future with confidence and joy. Trusting that God is in control and that his promises are true. Reassessing and renewing faith. Reassessing and renewing our faith are essential steps in every Christian's spiritual journey. This ongoing process of reflection helps identify and modify habits that may be sabotaging our faith, allowing us to realign with divine purposes. This constant renewal is not just a recommendation, it's a necessity to keep our spiritual life vibrant and our relationship with God dynamic. Let's consider the various ways we can reassess our spiritual practice. This could include analyzing the spiritual disciplines we are practicing, such as prayer, Bible reading, fasting, and community involvement. Evaluating the frequency, depth, and sincerity with which we engage in these practices can reveal areas that need rejuvenation or change. Moreover, the process of renewal may involve seeking new ways to connect with God and the faith community. Participating in spiritual retreats, faith development workshops, or starting new Bible study groups can inject new life into our spiritual walk. Such activities not only refresh our faith, but also strengthen our relationships with other believers, creating a support network that is vital for spiritual growth. By committing to regular assessment and renewal of our faith, we create a cycle of continual growth that keeps us focused on God's paths and prevents us from falling into complacency. This commitment to spiritual growth is what allows us to face challenges with confidence and maintain a faith that not only survives, but thrives. How do you seek to reassess and renew your faith to keep your spiritual life vibrant and relevant? What strategies have you found effective for this renewal process? Share your ideas and experiences in the comments. I hope this video has illuminated aspects of your spiritual life that need attention. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more valuable insights, and share in the comments the changes you plan to implement.